Go.
No Nation. Welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. Tell you what, I'm sitting here sweating like a whore in church, like a preacher in a whorehouse, all those things because it's hot. I got a little cool snap for a couple of days. That's over. It's hotter than hell out here in Pensacola, Florida. I'm sure it is for a lot of my Nole listeners out there. And it's kind of hot around the collar from those of us who have been talking about Florida State for 5 or 6 months in the off season and predicting things, predicting undefeated seasons, AC titles, all those things. So we're going to get into all of it. We're going to get the feelings off of our chest coming off the instant reaction. Each of us will give everybody a chance to, speak without anybody responding or anything. Just kind of let y'all know our thoughts, our instant reaction, and kind of how we're feeling now, a little over 24 hours removed from it, as we look to see what exactly happened or what could possibly be done to get better moving forward. Jen's running a few minutes late. She had a family outing today, and a little bit late getting back due to a couple things, but she'll be here in just a minute. Of course, as always, I've got my guy with me, Deshawns Adams. You can find him on Twitter at Deshawns Adams 18. You can find him on YouTube at Pro Football Talk, Double D's Let's Talk About It. So go check that out. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got a couple other ones later. We'll let you guys know exactly how to get to those. You want to start it off, Deshawns, or do you want me to go?
You go ahead and fly, man. I'll follow up off you.
I'll fly, man. I'll fly so you can soar. Look, guys, I feel a whole lot better a day removed. Doing the live watch along was pretty painful for all three of us. We all three have a lot on the line. We've got hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of talking about what this team could be and basing it off everything we know, we've heard, off of recruiting and practice reports and spring camp. And you have Nick Saban come out and say we got a top 5 roster and all the other things that go along with it. Andy Staples, Pete Thamel, the list goes on. The first instant reaction to is like, man, we have all been lied to. We have been hoodwinked and bamboozled. And I even started to. I was like, what the hell? I've been like, oh shit, I'm the one that's been doing the lying. So here we are. We're here to take accountability, eat some crow. And with that, I'll just kind of start with my thoughts. It was tough. But if you were here on the channel leading up to the game for the predictions, I laid out a possibility for Georgia Tech to upset Florida State. The one chance they were going to have was going to be to slow this game down, limit offensive snaps. I said 53 to 57 snaps. Jimbo Fisher air what he was trying to do at the end when everything was falling apart, just really slow everything down. That would keep their defense fresh. It would keep their offense fresh, which that first team offensive line that made our defensive line look like puppies out there all day long looked great. They were able to stay in there. Nobody ever had to come out, and they looked great. And they were able to do it. 57 snaps for Florida State, 53 for Georgia Tech, and they win. They win it going away. They kick the game in field goal. It's hard not to overreact in the moment, and there were certainly some overreactions out there, but I will applaud the Florida State fan base, especially this morning. I've seen a lot of more cooler heads prevail and things of that nature. DJU took some shots. He took some shots right off the bat. He was a very easy target. Even I was kind of like, look, you can't just completely blame the defense. You got to put some blame on the offense. And I will get there. But first, I just want to kind of defend DJU in that he kind of was who he thought he was. In the words of the Arizona coach, banging on the thing, he was who we thought we was, and we let them get away with it. So we knew who he was, and we let Georgia Tech get away with it. I think they had a really kind of pedestrian game plan. They didn't turn him loose. They thought we were going to be able to run the ball like we told you they were going to be able to. And dominate this game. We thought they were going to be able to do enough hitting the backs out of the backfield with the short game, going to be able to hit enough deep bombs. But it just didn't happen. I think it was the 16th pass before DJU threw it 5 yards down the field. On that final drive, you saw him get a couple big plays over the middle. I don't know why they don't attack the middle. In the moment, we were just, what the fuck are we doing? Why won't they attack the middle of the field? Big Game James told us Georgia Tech's interior of their defense is garbage. Like, it's wide open. And the receivers and things of that nature that we have, they're the kind of guys who aren't go up and get it, fade, uh, you know, uh, back shoulder throw type of guys. They're guys who get open and zone coverage over the middle of the field. Kyle Morlock went ghost after making a couple big plays early. As far as the running game, our guy number 13, Jalen Lucas, he was as advertised. That first drive, he was killing it. He was all over the place. Then he kind of disappeared. Cam Davis, maybe that's not the spot to get him his first 5 touches. That's easy to say, but we were here saying how great he was and how excited we are to see him. So not that big of a deal. You aren't going to blame anything on him. I think the biggest problem in this game was kind of effort, in that, I don't know, they were just, everybody was waiting for something to happen. Call it hubris, call it whatever you want. I thought this team was going to be able to replace the 13 NFL players we lost, pick up right where we left off, and take off. We talked a whole lot how it was going to be like 2022, but different, because this team is so much more talented. But what I found out, what we all found out, is that talent isn't everything. Like, I've come to the conclusion that, look, the only way this team is going to come together, develop that leadership, and become who we want them to be, who we thought they were going to be, it's going to be basically war. Time in the foxhole. It's going to take some time to get it together. As far as the offense goes, I think they can get it together. I think all the parts are there. I think we got enough talent. I think maybe you rotate the offensive line a little bit. I think Mike Norvell knows he screwed up on the game plan. I think he should have been more aggressive. You went and got DJU. I know he said, like I said earlier, he is who he thought he is. He's been great. But I don't know why the game plan just didn't call for more throws over the middle, and was just so many throws that were just, telegraphed. I know Deshaun, when he gets ready to give his 2 cents, is going to talk about that. When we were running the ball, it's not like we couldn't run on standard downs, which is the things we talked about they hadn't been good at. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, we could get those. We could get 3 or 4 yards on every play, but that was it. The big plays were gone. There was no getting anything extra. There was no breaking tackles. We took for granted all the tackles and yards after the catch Trey Benson got, because these running backs, as much as I hype Roy Dell about being able to avoid hand tackles and stuff, man, he got hand tackles a couple of times when we had opportunities for big runs. So it was tough. We'll get into the individual stuff. I don't want to tie too much down on that and take up too much time. I want to get to Deshaun, so I'll get into the defense. Got to start with the linebackers, guys. You can't sugarcoat. There ain't nothing about it. Everybody that's been around the Renegade Report for the entirety since it launched in December of 2022, but the YouTube channel a couple months later or whatever, knows I've been pretty tough on Randy Shannon. I thought they should have replaced him after 2022, and then I thought they should have replaced him after 2023. But I didn't get too crazy with it. And I kind of settled on the fact that this staff was wanting to go for continuity. It's something that's very rare, and the few teams around the country, if you look, that have it, the past couple of years have been the best teams in college football. And if you look at what Kalen DeLoach and what Tatum Bethune were at Florida State, hey, you give him the benefit. At least he coaches them up. Whatever he gets in there, he coaches them up. Lundy looks like he's going to be the next guy. I will say this: Lundy did not have a great game, but he's the one guy that looked like he belonged. He is still a 3rd linebacker on a really good team. Okay, he can be the 2nd linebacker and you still be a damn good defense. But he's got a long way to go to be that guy in elite defense. We'll see if he can get there, but he has the tools. We'll see if it was too much, or there's a chance he was trying to cover for the other guys that were playing around him and got him out of position on some plays. So that's going to take some real fine film review. I've only watched, like the TV replay. I haven't got a really good look at it, but did watch through it, a little bit more calm down. And number 9, I don't know, because I haven't been at practice now. I've only seen the media portion that's allowed to be filmed. But from everything we heard, it looked pretty good. And here's my theory for what happened with number 9, Mr. It's Ward, right? DeMarco Ward. That's the one that you're muted.
Omar Graham. I'm sorry.
Omar Graham. Yeah, DeMarco Ward. That's right. He didn't get any snaps. It was Omar Graham. Excuse me. I have a terrible time confusing those two. Omar Graham Jr., number 9. I thought he was a defensive end or something on the live stream. If you watch it back, I was like, we haven't seen a linebacker besides 10 the whole time. Well, number 9, Omar Graham Jr. played 35 snaps and did not record a stat.
Yep.
How you do that as a linebacker? That's like you almost have to be running away from the football. Like, it's literally a thing to do. And if you don't believe me, go look at the stats for Cam Riley. Go look at the stats for DJ Lundy. Go look at the stats for Blake Nicholson when he was in the game. 7 tackles, this and that. Tackles for loss. He had nothing. And when you watch it back the second time, it doesn't get any better. You don't get any of this, oh, well, I see what happened. Maybe something can get better. He was completely lost. I'm not going to disparage the young man. I don't know, where he goes from here, or the reason it happened. But here's my theory on how he fooled the coaching staff and everybody else. We all know somebody who is, I won't call him dumb, somebody who's just not the most intellectual person. They're not good at school, getting test scores. We all know that person. But they're able to memorize. They're the people who are able to memorize things. They can cram before a test, pass it, but then have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I think he just figured out whatever they're running in defense, whether it's the same couple of plays, the keys, everything. He was able to perform in that setting, knowing the different players. And I believe that he could have looked great in the scrimmages and everything else. And when they got out there and it wasn't, the answers of the test. And this is what it looked like. It looked like defenders were waiting for guys to come to them to tackle them.
Yes.
I don't know if it's because of the new tackling rules and things of that nature, but that was tough. Outside of that, the young guy, Nicholson, I want to see more of him. Again, I've got faith Lundy can get it together. I think they misused Cam Riley. But when they were using him right, I thought he did some good things. We've got enough guys between number 13 and number 7 and everybody else on the line. Let's keep him playing linebacker. We need all the help. If he can just stand back there and pick a gap to fill so DJ Lundy can pick from the other 2, that'd be fine. Because with 9, he's not filling any gaps. He's like, okay, which gap you got? I'll jump in there with you. So it's pretty tough. But I'll move on. Those are my feelings there. We can all get together as a group. But as far as the safeties and the DBs, I've seen some complaints about certain people. But Azaria Thomas was essentially having to play Mike linebacker for half the game. I thought Noles played a couple plays and really did well. At the end of the day, the defensive line is the other group that I'll give a little hell to. And I will say on the rewatch, I feel a little bit better about what the D-line can do to improve and things of that nature. Because Georgia Tech was hitting double teams and good schemes and things and doing some shit to get them messed up, and they didn't play well and all that. But I see the ability to get there. And I could probably be harsher, but I've talked too long. Jim, what we're doing here as we welcome Jen Santee to the show, she's not ducking everybody. If you pay attention, I let y'all know she was coming, just running a few minutes late. She's got a different backdrop there that looks dope as hell, the brick wall. Are we in the Florida room or what?
Yeah, I'm in the toy room. Yes, I'm in the toy room tonight. So you have my wonderful daughter's painting behind me. She's quite the artist.
Well, that's beautiful. You've got the demon on you, so you have to back out. But let me tell you what we're doing. Let me tell you what we're doing real quick. I already said my 2 cents. Deshaun is going to give his 2 cents uninterrupted from anybody, just his first reactions and how he feels a day later. Then when he gets done, you'll do the same thing. Give your 2 cents. However, if you want to go for 5 minutes, whatever the deal is, we'll do that. Whatever, get it off your chest, and then we will start talking about the game and breaking it down. And that's for you, for the fans to know too. And go ahead, Deshaun.
All right, first I'll stay with the defense since that's where you end it, and then I'll convert back over to the offense. With the defense, you're right, the linebackers, but what also plays a part into protecting the linebackers outside of their normal assignments and coverage and the run fits is the defensive line. And what I saw was an atrocious play from the interior. I'm just gonna put it up there. Jackson and Farmer did not play well at all, and particularly Jackson. Now we got some good push from the Young Bucks. You know, you got something from Sampson and Lions. You did get some good looks there when they came in the sub, but they're young, and you could see that they were tired. But going back to the starters, also Haynes King was able to break contain several times. That shows there on the when they're running a particular read or zone kind of option kind of play with him running. I saw a lot of crashing from the defensive ends, or they're getting caught in the wash. The lot or completely just blown off the fucking ball. I'm just gonna be honest. Uh, I didn't like that. The secondary can't do much when they're playing a team like Georgia Tech's scheme because it's sort of like playing a triple option team. They're not going to throw unless it's necessary. They're going to stay on time. And what you saw was we didn't even bring a safety down to help. There was no 8-man front, 8-man in the box, or multiple players in the box to try to commit to stopping the run. When we tried to blitz, it was too much tipping from the blitzer, so they see it coming, or they were late getting there. It was just a bunch of bullshit, and it would look like it was lethargic, and they were going through the motions. But in particularly, I did not like, especially on that first drive, the very first play, you saw a defensive line get pushed completely to the left side of the field. It made no fucking sense. And then by the end of that drive, you see your damn 6'6", 330-pound defensive tackle get put on his back. Only because he did not explode on the snap of the ball. I will speak to that with the defense. I will go to some positives. Like I said, Blake Nicholson, when they made some adjustments, there was also alignment problems there. There was no adjustments with alignment. The defensive line was playing the wrong gaps a lot. There was no shifting into the right gaps or right responsibility to help the linebackers be able to fill. And particularly on that first drive, you had linebackers 3-4 yards in the end zone on a goal line. What are we doing? And then on that same possession, the D line is not exploding off the ball. They're not finally standing up. I'm like, this is pee-wee shit. Why are you in college? You've been in college for more than 4 years and you're standing straight up. That's some pee-wee little league type shit that you have to teach out of little kids moving into middle school and high school. There's no way no grown-ass 23-year-old should still be standing up playing high like that. That's teaching as technique. So I'm not going to blame any particular player. It's a collective thing because the coaching was piss poor. Adam Fuller did not make proper adjustments. There's obviously some things that were lacking in preparation. And then I agree with you totally on the position coach of our linebacker coach. I'll say it. I know I won't be harsh, but I'll be fair. It's time for a pink slip. It's time because not only now you're showing that you're failing in recruiting, you're failing. That's a showing a failure in development. And you got guys that's been there now 2 years. 2 years should be enough for Omar Graham to know responsibility.
3
If he
years
does,
for him, I think.
3 years, 3 years. Yeah, he's a red shirt though, but 3 years. You're right, 3 years. And if you know he can't get it, why in the fuck is he on the field? Bottom line, you can't play here, or you got to pick it up where you can show you can play here, or we move on. It's their job to out recruit you. If you can't get it, then you need to move down. Now I'm gonna go to the offense. I do not blame DJU for what happened yesterday. He was handcuffed and he was handicapped on the final drive to tie the game up 21-21. They let the young man throw the ball. We did not attempt to throw. We did not take enough shots down the field. There was no explosives. And I want to mention something to you. Like you said, the middle of the field. We did not attack the seams at all. Kyle Morlock had one catch for 12 yards. They did not use him any. You did not see an attempted pass to Kyle Morlock the rest of the damn game. They did not use him. They did not exploit the middle of the field, which was what we already said. It had been broken down by a partner, by James, that the middle is middle for Georgia Tech is vulnerable. They went to 8-man fronts. You're trying to run your offense and run the ball against 8 men in the box. This defense isn't new. You see the same style of defense in practice every day. The defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech and the defensive coordinator at Florida State both came up under the same coach in Mike Elko. So there should have been familiarity with what Georgia Tech wanted to do. They played harder. I saw some things from the offensive line that I liked. In particular, Maurice Smith played his ass off. He picked up blocks, blitzes, and he was able to step to the next level to his man. You had Richie Leonard make plays. You had some plays. You're going to have lapses. You're not going to win every rep. So there were plays in particular. I don't think that our good friend Robert Scott should have been put in this game so early. You should have let him, rest up, play maybe the Boston College game, and let him continue to work his way into it. His kick step on that drive made that defensive end from Georgia Tech look elite, and he might get drafted off that one play. But I'm going to defend DJ on this. DJ does. Everyone who wants to take shots at DJ and is calling for Brock, stop the bullshit. This was not on DJ. He was hampered and he did not get free. I agree that they should also play Jalen Lucas a little more. You did not see him in the game running the ball that much anymore. You saw Tor did some things. I think they should have fed Roydell some more. And I will tell you this, and this is a consistent thing that's coming from the fan base that paid attention. Benson and Brown were open multiple times all game long. All game long. But for whatever reason, we just didn't get there. DJ's not the perfect quarterback. We know what he is. You play to his strengths. We didn't do that. Throw the fucking ball down the field. If you got that much speed, you got to make them respect it. They did not respect the passing game, and the coaching staff made it easy. So this has been the question amongst the streets of the Nole fan base. How valuable is Alex Atkins? Because obviously something was missing yesterday. Another voice in Mike's ear, something. That was the worst call game Mike has had as an FSU coach. He's had, he's not the perfect coach, but we know leading up the last 3 seasons, he's had 8 months. He's called a hell of a game. He called that game like it was a damn scrimmage. He didn't open up the offense. He didn't run any unique formations, none of that shit. He maybe the first drive, which was scripted, but going on as the game played out, it was just bullshit. It was bullshit all the way around. It starts with coaching, and then it goes down into the players. And that's it for me.
Well said, my man. I'm telling you right now, Jen had to go through that for 4 or 5 minutes. I had to go through it for Deshaun. Deshaun had to go through it with me. That's harder than it looks to just sit there and not react to anything that's said. So go ahead, Jen. And, if you want to take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, get it out off your chest, how you're feeling. And we'll go get into discussion and things like that and looking at questions from the chat and everything else.
Okay. Well, number one, they were bullied. They were bullied on both sides of the ball. They were bullied on the defensive line. I don't want to hear that this was not on the defensive line. The defensive line looked like absolute dog shit most of the game. The fumble at the end that you couldn't even bother to fall on was so disgusting. I don't have the words for that. I really don't. You people have run around here, pulled your name in the portal, pulled it out of the portal, wanted more money. Give me this, gimme. You couldn't fall on a ball. I don't need this right now. Nobody does. And by the way, hey, a loss is a loss. You lost, and you lost embarrassingly. And you should be being clowned on, because you are. And you're making all of us fans be clowned on because we supported you. We stood by you. We stuck up for you. We did all these things. And fine, lose a game. Who cares? By the way, a losing game is totally fine. Yeah, we all were Kwame County, Katie, whatever your damn name is. I'm just saying, we all were told all this bullshit.
But yeah, we were all lied to. And hey, I
mean, these are Miami fans, so yeah, who gives a shit? I'm just saying, it was an absolute disaster. By the way, ESPN came out and said, that was the best defensive line, right? They even said that. Liar Pete Thamel, who gets on there and is paid to lie on a daily basis. Good for you. You made your money. But all I'm saying is, this was embarrassing. You were bullied by a bunch of mathematicians. You were bullied by a bunch of nerds on both sides of the ball. And by the way, the offensive line looked like shit the whole game. The defensive line looked like shit. I've never seen anything like this. This wasn't the running back's fault, and it wasn't DJU's fault. You didn't throw the ball over the middle, just like Deshawns said. This, and when you did it, guess what happened? It worked. You stopped going through it. The play calling was terrible. All of it was terrible. I've never seen. And by the way, they bullied you so bad off the line of scrimmage, and you still only lost by a field goal. That's how ridiculous this was. This was in absolute, you could have won this. But by the way, I'm glad you didn't, because then we would have to sit there and lie for your asses another couple of damn games and make us look even dumber. And I'm sorry, but next week, you're going to have to show me something, because I am not picking you to beat Boston College next week. I'm not, because I didn't see any sort of will, any sort of want. There was no gravitas. There was no balls. There was nothing. It was like you sat there and were slapped in the face a couple times. You didn't even want to be there. You didn't want to be there. Guess who wanted to be there? Georgia Tech with a no-neck linebacker. He had no neck. He was about, 5'8"? And he was running all over you fools. It's ridiculous. You tell me where I'm wrong here, because I'm sorry, it's bullshit. Offensive line, do not tell me about these 26-year-olds anymore. I don't want to hear it. Y'all sucked, and you got bullied by a bunch of mid-mathematicians. And Miami fans, y'all get the hell out of here, because y'all did it the same last year too. Shut the hell up. There you go. That's what I think.
Feel better? Was that therapeutic or what?
No, I don't feel better. I'm just saying. Oh God, here we go. Here's Stingray in here again. Hey Stingray, maybe log off the internet. My hair is actually wet. I've been doing things today. Go kiss your grandma. Have them turn off the internet. Go do whatever it is you need to do. Blow up your blow up doll. I don't care what it is. Go do it.
Yeah. Fuck Stingray. Stick with us. But yeah, unfortunately, there will be no call line this show. The call line has died. It died when we were doing the live stream yesterday, so I'm going to have to buy another one. It's just as simple as getting another phone. But yeah, the only other option is to give out a link, and that is not something I'm thinking about wanting to put out for the public with this kind of thing going on. There's no telling who would pop up, and I can't risk. This is a monetized channel. That's why we have a cap on what we can talk about and things like that, even though we do try to keep it. We go rated R. We're not getting into NC-17 or even the crazy politics and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with pretty much everything everybody said. Had plenty of truth to it. So we'll circle back and try to go through it part by part. If you have any questions, though, feel free to throw them in the chat. If it's just a regular one, when we see it, we'll throw it up there. It doesn't have to be a super chat, but 100% of super chats get thrown up the screen, and we try to read them as well. Okay, is that caked or coked? It looks more like coke to me, but the $2 chat, number 9 was spinning in circles on international TV. That was tough. He definitely was rough. And Kwame County paid his $4.99, the one we looked at earlier. He said he might be a freak at home, but not on the football field. Very nice joke, my friend. Very, very nice joke. But let's start with the offense, because I think there's a lot more positives there to kind of get us going in a positive direction here, as positive as we can find it. As Jen said, they did get bullied, but when you watch the tape back, you can see where you can have some places to build, like Deshaun said, with Maurice Washington, what we saw to Jalen Lucas, the play we saw from Morlock over the middle of the field. It seems like to me, like this was just a really, really, really hard lesson for Mike Norvell in not putting handcuffs and thinking. It's like a lesson he learned early in his career, and we talked about how he was still going to learn. He's still a young head coach. He's learning on the job in the early part of his career. I don't know if it's something we thought we were past. There's certain things like the clock management that you just kind of look past. We haven't got to that yet, so we can get to that next. But I'll ask this question first. Um, with the offense, do you think with an adjusted game plan, we can really come out next week and look different, and you can see a real improvement? As we've said, DJ, you looked pretty good. The running backs looked pretty good, except for not breaking tackles and things of that nature. Like, do you still think we can have a top 25 level offense moving forward, or is it just, back to the drawing board?
Well, if you're asking me, I'll answer
We,
first.
we can start with Deshaun and
Okay.
then either way.
It's possible, but again, it's going to all start up front. It has to start from the inside out. Um, I have no problem with our perimeter skill players. They can only do what our trench can, what our trench allows them to do. As far as our quarterback situation, I think DJ can function better, and there's some passes he missed. We're gonna be honest. He did miss some plays. It was a deep pass, I believe, to Douglas that he kind of underthrew, or either Douglas didn't flatten out the route or something like that that
Yeah,
caused him to reach
just
out. But
didn't get
anyway,
enough chances.
yeah. But to answer your question, I think it's gonna be some. This is gonna be a straightening kind of week, a come to Jesus moment if you want to do. Monday starts. They really need to apply pressure first and foremost. You got to create physicality in the practice on both sides. But since we're talking offense, create physicality in that at that line of scrimmage. If you want to play bully ball, you got to have a mind. It's a mindset. It's not just I got big ass 330-pound linemen and we're just gonna come out there and move. No, it's an attitude and a mindset. Um, I
Strengthen
think that
rotation by just
yeah,
making them battle it
yes,
out in practice. If three of them get hurt,
exactly.
now you got your five.
Exactly.
Shit.
Rotations is another thing that none of us three mentioned that is also an issue. Stop subbing so fucking much. You
Especially with
don't have to
Atkins out
sub.
there again.
Yeah, you don't have to sub every offensive line. You find the best unit that works, the best balance between pass protection and run blocking, and you go with that and you stick with that and you allow them to gel. Yes, you have pieces that played last year, but you still have pieces playing that they don't have enough reps playing together. And then you got to give the running backs enough, continuity with that line to know how this person's going to pull on a play, how they're going to block when they double team or move to the second level, all of that shit. You stop playing people just to play. Use them for specifics. I think you needed to stick with Roydale. You throw in Toafili and definitely Lucas because Lucas was effective. That's what you should have did. Nothing wrong with playing Cam Davis, but in that moment, first game, I don't think you put that young man in that situation just yet. Because you put a third down on him that he would have had the first down, but you asked a true freshman to make up a big play in that moment. Doesn't mean he couldn't have, but I wouldn't have put him there just yet. I mean, I can understand you. The expectation is still that he makes the play. He still should have caught the ball. I'm not denying that. But don't put him out there to put in that situation. Give him something a little easier when we're in a situation where he can just run downhill and make plays instead of putting him on a clutch third down conversion needed. You throw that and he drops the ball. But going into this week, going into Boston College week, there's an attitude adjustment on the line of scrimmage on the offense. I think it starts with adjusting the offensive line first, and then allowing DJ find what DJ's comfortable with. The same thing they said about Jordan. Find what he's comfortable with, the plays he's comfortable with. Work on plays that attack the middle of the field. If you don't need to do anything but get him, Brown, Benson, and Morlock together and allow them to work reps. Don't worry about shuffling every other fucking receiver. Let's get three good guys he can trust to go to other than throwing out of the backfield and work with that. Then you build off of that as the season goes. What the hell we doing? We rotate too many receivers. We got Portier in there, Williams in there. Stop that shit. You got a new quarterback in his last year, first game with a new system, and you asking him to work reps with multiple wide receivers. Let him get comfortable with guys that he has never thrown the ball to but for a few months. It's bullshit. And then you got too many guys that hadn't caught enough passes from him. So you got to work up to where you want to go. This is a fresh team, a new team. Yes, they're talented. It can be fixed, but it has to start up front.
Tell them, man. I hear you. I feel it with you. We got to get Coat another $5 super chat. We really appreciate you. We kind of worked what you're talking about into it, and that's the very next place I'm going to go. We're going to give Jen a chance if she wants to address what I just
Mhm.
said earlier, though. First, but I will read your chat. No one is talking about Mike and not taking the field goal and going for it on first down in the first quarter. Play calling and time management wasn't there. I'm not putting together what you're saying in the first sentence, but I'm with you on play calling and time management, and that's going to be the next thing I get to after we hear from Jim.
Yeah, I mean, time management was awful. At the end of that game, the clock management was some of the worst I've ever seen. I honestly couldn't believe what I was watching. Or even at the end of the first half, let's discuss that. You went into the locker room with 3 timeouts. They don't come with you when you die. You know, you can't take them with you. You just wasted all this time. And I fully believe they could have gotten something done. This was it was awful on so many fronts. And I've never been more disappointed. And I really don't have the words to describe it. I'm so tired of this. The offensive line is the strength. No, it's not. No, it's not. And it hasn't been. It wasn't last year. It's not going to be this year either. Just because they're old doesn't mean it's the strength. You need them to actually block and stop being blown off, because that's all you really see. You saw one complete game last year, and that was against LSU. Everything else was meh. Explain to me when you've seen that offensive line look great, unless it was against LSU. I need someone to tell me, because I haven't seen it. None of us saw it. It's all been meh. And they're 26 years old, and they're all being paid like a bunch of money. I'm so, I don't know. I don't know. Where's Julian Armella? Where's Lucas Simmons? Where are some of these people? Where are they? Are they missing?
All
Or are they
right.
just not good enough?
All right. Jeff Hill throws in a $10 super chat. As bad as that performance was, I'm hoping this was a slap in the face. We need to regrow. They don't need to be doing any groping. So no groping for FSU defense and offense. We need a thing that happened with like Smooches did at the beginning of this thing, where she said, no tail for the players until we get this thing together. That shit works. So we need to get that going. We need to get with Smooches. Maybe she's listening. If you're listening, we need to tweet. We need to get that going again. But we need to refocus, he says, on our goals that are left. That was the most frustrated I've been in a while. We're right there with you, Jeff, and we appreciate you as always coming through with a $10 super chat. Big time help for us. Bobby says with a $4.99 super chat. Seems like we haven't seen you in a while, Bobby. So welcome back to the show. He is the realistic Canes fan. There's more cause for concern than in the past 2 years, sure. But don't forget what Norvell and his staff accomplished leading up to now. Yeah, well, I'll make that clear. I'm not throwing Norvell out with the bathwater, but we're just, you can't be sunshine pumpers and ignore what's going on. Norvell knows what the standard is. The standard is the standard. He's working towards it, and he expects this to happen. I guarantee it. If nobody else from around FSU comes around and does the podcast anymore because of what we say, we'll see. But I highly doubt it. FSU is a family through thick and thin. So the nasty stuff you see out there, the crossing the line, the doxing and things like that, there's no place for it. We don't want people that are going to do shit like that around here. It's for the birds. But we're not going to bullshit. We're going to stand in the paint. We don't delete videos off the channel. It's like people talk shit anytime they find one little thing that's wrong here and there. But, we were on a pretty good run there for 13 games. We lost the game, but I agree. Somebody said earlier, that Dan, I think, said, you didn't deserve to win this game. Yeah, that 44-yard field goal, the ball doesn't lie, because that damn thing, we deserved to lose this game. We didn't deserve to win it. We had a chance to win, even though we didn't deserve to win it, and we didn't. The ball didn't lie. But D. Thompson comes through with the $5 super chat. Man, you guys are blessing us tonight. Thank you so much, and I promise this comes back. When this check comes in, we're going to do, I'll go ahead and say it, we'll do a $50 giveaway at least here in the next month, for sure, at least. And, I'm working on my end, I promise, to get things going just, with this economy and the way my debit account and my checking account is set up. Uh, but Darren Thompson, we appreciate the $5 super chat. I was so pissed watching the game. The alumni watch group I was with were all stunned by the lack of physicality FSU displayed. That can't happen. Hey, look, that was a common theme I saw from players, whether it be Jacoby McDaniel, Freddie Stevenson, you name it on the timeline. They were basically saying kind of what along the line of what Jen's stuff was. It's like not enough struggle. Like it looks like these guys really made it. We made it, and they hadn't. Reading press clippings, all those things of that nature. And I said it a little bit earlier. Like they were all looking around for a leader to make something happen, and the closest you had to that was AZ Thomas. But he's a corner. It's tough. Jalen Ramsey could be that guy for a defense after taking over for Telvin Smith, but he's not quite ready for that as a true junior. So they're gonna have to figure out who that leader is. But Antonio Newman with the $4.99 super chat. It's hard for me to blame the O-line when we are trying to run into an 8-man box consistently. Mike has to call a game that helps DJ and the O-line. And hey, that's absolutely true.
Dead
Deshaun
on.
was losing it on that. Losing it on that during the game.
I was losing my shit on that. Yeah.
And for good reason. It's like
Yeah.
it was Jimbo Fisher 2017. It was 53 to 57 plays, telegraphing, just like we're good enough to get the yards, even though when we're doing it, but like we can still scheme up and do all the other things too. Like and when you finally turn him loose for the 2-minute drive and you throw over the middle, and like Jen and both of you guys said, it happened. And I swear I'm gonna get the time management, but this is we're not used to this. Crazy with these super chats, they keep adding up. We appreciate you guys so much. You don't even know what this means for us. I meant Coach with the $5 super chat again. I meant they went for it on 4th down in the first quarter. They could have took field goal instead, and it would have been a tie game at the end. I think they were out of effective field goal range, but they could have pinned them deep at least, or they could have kicked the field goal if they were close enough. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But yeah, I agree, Coach. But the thing I wanted to get to on time management that really pissed me and Deshaun off, I know for sure, and I want to give everybody a chance to talk on it if they want. There was at the end of the first half, we had a minute and some left to drive, and they never called the timeout. I don't know. I can't remember if it was between first or second down, but like we ran one play and then bam, like 35 seconds off the clock. We thought we were already close enough to field goal range. We could run 1 or 2 more plays and be good and kick a field goal. But then you get one negative play, and then you're screwed, and you got no time to do nothing. You've got 12 seconds left to hopefully get 3 plays off if you can call the timeouts. But we ended up getting the 59-yard field goal, and you kind of forget about that one. But we were literally watching that live, and then at the end of the game, what pissed me off to no end was when you've got 6 fucking minutes left. And all your timeouts, okay? Now, everybody knows you ain't been able to stop Georgia Tech, getting first downs. You've been able to bend but don't break all day pretty well. I mean, at the end of the day, they only scored 3 touchdowns. But they dominated time of possession. They held the ball all day, moved it up and down the will. And all they needed to do was get into field goal range. So your only hope was, get a negative play, stop them for a loss, get some kind of turnover. You needed something to happen. You weren't going to straight just timeout on first down, timeout on second down, timeout on third down. And that's what they were doing. They were waiting for that opportunity to make a play on first down and then call their 3 timeouts. Instead of when you make a play, and even when it gets down to the end and you've got them in 3rd and long, hey, these guys, the linebackers ain't hitting their gaps. Nobody's coached up, ready to go where they need to go. All fucking day long. How about you call a timeout? Get your guys together, have a plan, say, fuck the motion, ignore it. Unless you got him in man coverage, ignore it. Whatever, you hit your gap. And that never happened. So that drove me nuts and pissed me off. We'll let Jen go first this time, and then to Deshaun if y'all want to comment on the time management.
Okay.
I mean, the time management, I kind of commented on it before, but it was terrible. It was terrible. There was no excuses for it, even just at the end of the first half. It was awful. It was disgusting. You went into the locker room and what? Did you cuddle with those 3 timeouts? Because you didn't use them. You didn't use them to try and, I don't know, score again or stop them from scoring. I mean, this is embarrassing. What are you doing? Laying down, taking a nap with them? Are you going to talk to them in the locker room? No, they're gone. They were gone. You ruined them. You didn't do anything with them. Honestly, I've never been more disappointed in what I saw because again, they had no business winning that game because those players didn't even look like they wanted to be in the game. But yet you only lost by a field goal. That's what is the most embarrassing part of it. Forget the time management. You only lost by a field goal and you didn't even act like you wanted to be there. Did they go out and get drunk? No excuses. I don't know. Were they out with Pat McAfee with the shirt off at the Irish bar? I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. But I'm just saying the time management was embarrassing. The play calling. I mean, I just, what else does anybody want me to say? He didn't even start doing timeouts until, what was it, Deshaun? When was it at the end of the fourth quarter?
It's like 12 seconds left. Oh, not the fourth quarter. I'm talking about the first half.
Yeah.
It was 12 seconds left, and he still had what, 2 timeouts, I believe, at the time. It was 55 seconds on the clock, and we're driving. And I had said it. I'm like, Mike, you letting the clock run. You got 3 timeouts. What are you doing if you're trying to drive? Now, the only question I asked was he not trying to give Georgia Tech any time to get a possession and get a score. That's the only logical thing I can think of. But in that sense, it just tells me he wasn't playing aggressive. Once again, something that we haven't seen. But I'm gonna go to something time management on the defense at the end of the game. Football gods blessed us with that fucking fumble, and they lost yardage. Why in the fuck did Adam Fuller call a zone that allowed them to get 16 yards when it was 3rd and 18, I believe. I believe it was 3rd and 18. And we gave them 16 yards by playing zone at the end of the game.
At the end of the game, they ran a motion, and Omar Graham lost his fucking mind. He had no idea what to do, and he reacted late, and then somebody else. I'm not sure exactly what the call is because there's not an all 22 look on it.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yep. It seems that shifting in motion, pre-snap motion confused certain members of the defense all night, all game. But getting into that play that I was talking about, why would Fuller run a zone? We went completely away from the identity of this football team in the secondary. Aggression, physicality, and in the secondary, we traditionally, even under Jimbo and even under Bobby, play Mickey. Trail man. We traditionally play man coverage defense. That's why we consider DBU. That's one of the things. We put our corners on a fucking island. And we play that. That's our style of play. It's always been that. That's who we are. That's defensively, that's what we identify with. We fly to the ball. We didn't see that. We play physical. We didn't see that. We rally to the ball. We didn't see that. We play aggressive. We get in your face. We do none of that happened yesterday. And that's where the cause of concern is when you're talking about what can be fixed. The attitude of the coaching staff all the way down. But I'm gonna get up there and we're gonna go back to time management, and in particular, like you said, with Omar. Omar was very confused, and that goes into the coaching, the position coach in particular, then up to the head coach. When the head coach sees that, you got to say, do not put his ass in the game anymore. I don't know what the fuck Randy was doing. You got a whole room, and that's what you chose to do. You didn't put you could have left Blake in there, play DJ with Blake, or play Riley. Riley had 7 tackles. Play Riley. It's his first game, new system. He just got there late. We know that. But you don't put someone who does not know. The first thing you need to do is make sure that player knows his assignment. You put a guy out there that didn't know his assignment, and he was confused, and he's trying to get people in their right alignment. And he don't know what the fuck he's supposed to do.
Did he have the fucking mic?
I don't know.
Like, I thought Lundy
I
would have
know. I don't know.
But it seems like 9 had it. Why would he be in there in the second half after you go over what happened in the first half?
Exactly.
Look at it. I don't.
And that was where the confusion was.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe hearing the voice was throwing him the fuck off. I don't know.
Yeah, and then what Antonio Newman said, but you go ahead and call out the super chat because I want to answer that.
Antonio Newman with the $4.99 super chat, man. Thanks again, man. Y'all are going ham with these. It's hard for me to blame the O-line when we are trying to run into it. Oh, that's the same one. Sorry.
But I did see that, and I wanted to respond to that's exactly what I said.
$1.99. Y'all still want to go to the SEC? We never did, buddy. The joke's on you. We wanted to go to the Big Ten, but we appreciate the super chat. Jeff Hill, $5 super chat to what y'all were just saying. In my opinion, Nicholson should have played the whole game. Why was Omar Graham in there? Look, it's the first game, but look, I made a tweet. The linebacker rotation is going to be a lot different moving forward. And to me, you start Lundy and Riley, and Nicholson's the first one off the bench.
Exactly. And then you maybe sprinkle in Cryer or something like that.
Yeah, give Cryer a shot and get some reps.
Nicholson understood his run fits, but he's still young and he's still, as far as his size. But that's where the where both the defensive line, I'm sorry, I'm freezing a little bit, but where the defensive line has to help. It's their job, in particular, the tackles, to protect the linebackers, to allow them to be able to run downhill and fly to the ball. But if your defensive line, in particular, your two tackles are getting blown the fuck up off the ball, your two starters, then you're basically getting your linebackers pushed back, or they're getting caught on the watch, basically, as they're trying to hit their run fits. It was just bullshit all the way around. Our ends didn't get any penetration. I think there was some things I saw from particularly with Lolo Hea. I don't think Tamawa played, did he? Did he play? Did he get any snaps in the game? I know Grady Kelly did.
I'm
Those
so fucked
guys,
up on my defensive line numbers.
Tamawa's 19. Lolo Hea's 13.
Yeah, 13's Lolo Hea. What was Durjaye?
19, I believe.
19. Yeah, I didn't see much out of him the whole game.
But when Lolo Hea was in there, he set the edge.
But I did see it outside of the fumble thing. 13 played pretty well. He earned some snaps. 54 got washed out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But Byron Turner had some nice reps as well.
Exactly.
He didn't have that whole. He was one of the most guys that was the most locked in with effort. And playing his assignment when he was out there. Carl Hector spent another $99 super chat saying y'all still want to go to the SEC. So nope, Big Ten again, brother. You'll have to try one more time with another super chat to get it right.
Yeah, I think also moving Pat back to the opposite side. I think he played. I don't necessarily know if you can put both him and Marvin Jones on the field together. You may need a Lolo Hale or a Tamawa, because you need someone that can set the edge. Yeah, set the edge. You may need to rotate those two, and if you're going to play them on the field together, probably play them on the same side and use a unique blitzing kind of situation or stun or something. That's up to the coaching staff to do that. I wouldn't necessarily play them every down together, because
Marvin and Peyton, Peyton
they're similar.
Or Marvin with 13 on the other side to start out. I would be totally for that.
Yeah, you need someone that can set that strong side or set that edge a lot better than what we were getting. Our ends were getting either they were crashing on the option or they were getting blown off the field or off the ball.
Makia Bolden says no adjusting. Yeah, that's part of the problem. I think there was adjustments on defense that were made, but not on the personnel, which is what we're talking about right now. But as far as the offense, zero. There were no adjustments on offense, and that was extremely concerning, disappointing, all the different things. You didn't see any adjustments until the fourth quarter started, and you burnt half the quarter on our drive. And then you gave it back to them with 6 minutes to go, and then that was it. The defense, like, you almost want to go out on your shield, let them score, and then you get the ball with 2 minutes left. Run the man stuff, run the all-out blitz, whatever the case may be. But yeah, we're not getting it back. All we can kind of do is go move forward, talk about who can possibly get reps going forward and stuff like that. Let's talk about the secondary for a little bit. Conrad Hussey continues to make a name for himself. Some people are kind of upset with Shaheem Brown, but I thought he was pretty damn good out there. I thought, like, it's crazy that dude held on to that ball just like the other dude held on to that ball. There's a couple really big hits where dudes held on to balls on third downs where you just have to tip your cap to Georgia Tech because they had that dog in them. Devontae Brown, I wasn't impressed so much with his tackling, and when he was out there, it was pretty tough. AZ, he was the closest thing to a leader you had there. Like I said, he was constantly having to, like, adjust linebackers. I don't know if he got frustrated and adjusted his effort or what. So I'm not going to talk any shit about him, but he did get, like, crazily pancaked on that final play that essentially gave him the game. They were at, like, 58-yard field goal on 3rd and 18, and he got taken 10 yards out of the play to allow him to get that 8 or 9 yards or whatever it is. So nobody gets a pass. There was nobody that played amazing. Special teams is the bright spot. But Fitz hits the 59-yarder, did all the things. But even then, I was a little disappointed. Mastromano's punting. I don't know if there was a big wind or something, but he was not doing a good job of location with his punting. It was just bam, out the end zone, out the end zone, out the end zone. He got one, I think, one time that landed at the 17 or something. But besides that, it was tough. There was one particular part of the game I can't remember. I think it was the third quarter or something. We got our first punt. We were going forward on fourth down. There was touchdowns or field goals. There just was not many punts. But yeah, he wasn't good with the positioning. I think we've got Tiny Hat CEO ready for his call. I gave him the link so he could join us since my phone is broke. I'm gonna read the super chat and then bring him up here. Oh no, we've got my guy Spear Addicts. I gave him a link as well.
Okay.
He has decided to join in. I'll add him to the stage. He'll talk when he gets ready after I get the super chat. Sad I lost all that money to FSU. Way to stand in the paint, George. And that rock star look is dope. Go Canes. Season is still young. Your team can pivot. You fucker. You fucking tricked me into saying go Canes, man. I just read it right in the fucking sentence. And I just said it again. It's always FMFFM. Fuck Miami. Fuck Miami. Woo! But we appreciate you, Luke. I'm just messing with you. $4.99 super chat. If I missed one, I'm sorry. I'm not used to getting this many. This is pretty nuts. Tempest has a $2 super chat. We appreciate you, somebody that's been coming through the show since the beginning. Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Carl Hector, keep the $1.99. Y'all still want to go to the SEC. Super chat's coming, but it's still the Big Team, or the Big Ten, excuse me. But again, welcome in Chris Frazier from Spear Addicts. He'll either jump on and just pop up on his camera when he's ready, or he may be ready to speak right now. What's up, Chris? Yeah, he'll pop up on his camera when he's ready.
Okay. I'm just wondering what y'all in here talking about.
Oh, here he is. Here's Chris. What's up, man?
Yeah, like we lost the game or something.
I don't feel like that. Hey, look, the way we open the show, Chris, is I spoke for 10 minutes straight. Deshaun spoke 5-10 minutes. Jen spoke 5-10 minutes, uninterrupted. We got what was on our soul off. Just what we thought initially and how we're feeling now a day later. So if you want to do that, we'll sit back, take the time. How are we feeling, Chris?
Well, I'll start off with this. I can assure everyone that myself, CJ, James, George, Deshaun, or the rest of Florida State media, and y'all know that I don't defend the rest of Florida State media, but I have to be honest when it's time to be honest, and it's nothing that we saw from what Florida State put on display yesterday for the entire world to see. The first drive that happened in that game, that is literally the Florida State football team that we saw every practice. Every practice that I visibly got to put my eyes on this team, that is the physicality that we saw, the type of execution that we saw. And I'm going to be completely honest. And this is, my opinion of what I think happened. The first series, Florida State has the football. They run the ball down Georgia Tech's throat. They score a touchdown and then make a statement by scoring a 2-point conversion instead of going for it. I think that the worst thing that could have happened for Florida State in that game is that it was that easy to score on the first drive, because they were already, in my opinion, feeling themselves. They were already super confident in themselves. The issue is I think that Mike had a game plan to go in there and be kind of vanilla, or all the way fucking vanilla, however you want to look at it. And we tried to wear Georgia Tech down. The game plan idea is to run the ball, wear them down, 6-yard dump passes, stuff like that. And then the third and fourth quarter open up. but there was never an anticipation on Florida State side that the game would be tied at 14-14 at half. The entire destruction of what happened to Florida State against Georgia Tech wasn't just that Florida State self-destructed. I got to give Georgia Tech credit where credit's due.
Very fair.
I think that their offensive line did a phenomenal job against our defensive line. I also don't think that I don't believe that there was a whole lot of effort put in from anyone on the football team outside of a few. Um, but let's be completely honest. Everybody wants to point at, oh, DJU didn't do this or DJU didn't do that. DJU had 4 plays that DJU did not do what he was designed, play wise designed to do. Um, Outside of that, the majority of the problem is the play calling. There was some very, very just bad play calls. It was you don't keep running the ball with 8 men in the box. That especially trying to run between gaps, like you're asking your offensive line to move 2, 3 guys at a time, and that's not football. It doesn't work. They were threatening you to throw the ball, and and then the moment we did was to Benson across the middle of the field, and oh look. But what happened was is Florida State started, or they changed up what they were doing a little bit too late. It was too late for you to try to open it up. I don't know if we wasn't paying attention to the clock. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but I do pick um, that there's equals to this. Okay, so Florida State's athletes, in particular, Daryl Jackson, Joshua Farmer, Pat Payton, and Marvin Jones Jr. One, I don't believe Pat Payton needs to be on that side ever. He needs to come back to his strong side, what he's capable of and used to. He needs to come back over there. Now, if that means that Marvin Jones Jr. and Pat Payton can't be on the field at the same time because both of their strong sides the same side, then guess what? You've got other defensive ends that you can put in there. So
Me and Deshaun were like literally just talking about that. Sorry, good.
so it's extremely frustrating. But the biggest fear that I had going into this season was 2 things. One, not knowing each other well enough. Our team knowing each other well enough. The coaches knowing the team well enough. The team knowing the coaches well enough. Outside of that, um, I was scared we were gonna be filling ourselves too much. Like Florida State, it felt like Florida State came in the first quarter, drove the ball down the field, scored a touchdown, got a 2 point conversion, and anticipated or expected Georgia Tech to lay down right there and say, okay, they're better than us. We're going to lose this game. Let them, do what they're going to do. And when Georgia Tech did not lay down and give us what we thought we already earned, um, it self destructed. We completely fell apart. So um, if I have to say whose fault is this, if I have to point a finger at whose fault is this, it's 100% each and every coach that is on this staff right now responsible for this loss. But the team, they don't have nothing to do with the team's effort. They have everything to do with the team's effort.
Hell yeah.
If they cannot get these guys in Dublin, Ireland, ready to win a football game or ready to at least compete as if this game matters, because they all do, then I don't know who else you can point that finger at. The game plan um, was atrocious. The play calling was even more atrocious. The effort of play from many was absolutely disappointing. But when Florida State doesn't make adjustments in the second half on offense that was necessary to be made, obviously, uh, that's on coaches. That has nothing to do with players. When you go into halftime and you've noticed, hey, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. Well, let's do this, this, and this. This is the adjustments that need to be made. That's nothing new. We've been here before. If you go back to last year when we were losing 17-14 at halftime to LSU, we went in at halftime, made the necessary adjustments, came out, and everybody knows what we ended up doing. It's not that we couldn't do it; it's that we didn't do it. Uh, I think that Florida State right now, as it pertains to players, offensively and defensively, we are missing vocal leaders. I didn't
Mhm.
ever at any point that so when I get mad about DJU, it's not about his play. It's about he was asked to not do anything is the problem when it comes to the play. But my biggest issue with him is when they come off the field, whether it was after they scored a touchdown or whether it was that we went 4 and out or had to punt, whatever the case was. I never saw any of our guys moraling each other up. Guys, we've got this. Let's go. Let's. No one was doing that, and that's the quarterback's job. When there's a struggle on the offense, someone needs to be a vocal leader and get everybody's head in the game. And unfortunately, even when we scored a touchdown, I don't know if everybody else paid attention to it every time we scored a touchdown, but we acted lackluster about it. We acted as if it wasn't that important. There was no urgency out of anyone, staff or player wise, on this team. It just no one had any type of urgency. There seemed to be like zero purpose on why we were there. I literally by the what was it, 4 minutes into the third quarter is when I think people decided, oh shit, we might lose this game. And I don't mean fans. I mean the players and the coaches were like, "Oh shit, this isn't going the way that I thought it was going to." And then we got caught like deer in headlights. We tried a little bit too late to change anything, and now your sequence is off, your connectivity's off. Everybody's fucking running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And when chaos becomes too chaotic, even the most design can't. It's just it's unfortunate because I'm not used to seeing a Norvell coach team respond the way that this one did against Georgia Tech in Ireland. I think it's sad. I think that it's extremely frustrating for us as fans. I think it's more frustrating for um, the fans that traveled all the way to Ireland to watch this. Is this what Florida State fans deserve? Absolutely not. Is this what Florida State deserves as a university? Absolutely not. I will say that I know a lot of this is negative, and I've knocked a lot of these guys, but I'm going to be a little bit worse than what I was. If I had to say that there was a specific room that was the worst that played in this game, it's the linebackers. Is that the linebackers' fault? No. Randy Shannon needs to pull his fist out of his ass and catch a bus ride to wherever it is that he wants to go. Because the when we have AZ coming up to tell linebackers where to move at, where they're supposed to be
Mhm.
lined up at, we
Mhm.
got
He
a
was playing the
fucking
mic, wasn't
problem.
he, Chris?
We got a problem. That is coaching. That has nothing to do with a player. That is coaching 100%. And I seen Ernie Sims going absolutely batshit crazy on the sideline because of where his guys, as far as when I say his guys, Randy's guys were not. If people want to see some certain film, you can watch a couple of coaches, and I've already named both of the coaches that I'm talking about, but they got into it extremely heavily on the sidelines.
This one to find
Fuller,
that.
Fuller got extremely heated with a specific coach, position coach.
Good.
Um, it's there was a little bit of stuff that we're not used to seeing with Florida State under Coach Norvell. There's some things that took place in Ireland that I 100% didn't expect. I never expected us to go out and play like soft dog shit. I never would have assumed that we were going to get out physical the way that we did. I never expected us to be out coached. Most of all, the anticipation of what Florida State was supposed to do versus what they did. All I can say to people is this is not the team that we've been watching in scrimmage. This is not the team that we anticipated showing up in Ireland. And unfortunately for all of us, it's the product that was put out there. But believe it or not, I think this is what they need. I think they needed this more than people understand. Do I want to lose? Absolutely not. I hate it. I'm one of the worst sore losers in the world. But this team needed to be smacked in the mouth and humbled to understand that only because you're at Florida State, only because of what Florida State did last year, that doesn't mean shit now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling y'all, the worst thing that could have happened for us was how easy it was to drive the ball down the field the first time. Because we right then and there made the decision, oh, fuck, we got this. Fuck these guys. They ain't worth the shit. And then tried to play catch up the entire way back into the game. It's crazy because of how shitty we played, and we still only lost by 3 points.
Yeah, very
It's
true.
wild.
Maybe picking up the win like would have been the worst thing for the team to happen. Like if you
Yeah,
went
we
down there
did
that
not make it.
last drive, like maybe if you
Mhm.
stop them, nothing happens. I'm hoping there's some real adjustments. We talked a lot about how this team was like 22, but with more talent. Maybe it was hubris, whatever the case may be. Maybe it was seeing how good they looked in practice. But yeah, we were missing those 13 leaders. We were missing those guys that are playing in the NFL. Guys like Kalen DeLoach, who are extremely underrated, don't get drafted to almost starting one of the top 30, 40 players on the linebacker or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are known for their linebacker play. So, yeah, look, people in the chat who's saying we're melting down in front of the other fans and stuff, this isn't melting down. I mean, like I said, even though people accuse us of being
Mhm.
sunshine pumpers, that isn't what we are. We never have been. We report on the facts, talk about it. If we're wrong or if something happens, we're going to speak on it. And I've spoke on Randy Shannon plenty of times in the past. He kind of gets a pass because up until this point, his guys have looked good out there. If you watch Chris and James's show, they do a good segment on kind of how we got here. And Kalen DeLoach got the start, and all of a sudden the linebackers were better. And you brought in Tatum Bethune, and it was better. But it's just they got turned loose. It's wild, that you could go to a game and the linebackers could look that freaking confused. Like it was tough.
Yeah.
And just by the way, the guy that was speaking just now, that was our guy, Spear Addicts, Chris Frazier. We appreciate him joining us. I'm trying to think of a good question here to ask you guys to keep the conversation going. I guess let's just go to Deshaun. What's on your mind? I'll let you take it from here. If you have
Well, I
any
have
questions for anybody
yeah,
or comments, go ahead.
I got a comment first. Two comments. First of all, let's stop with the Brock Glenn is the answer shit.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that, and it's a lot on the timeline, a lot on the fan base. Stop with the shenanigans and the bullshit. Um, Also, I got a question for you, Chris. But another comment is, why is it not okay to ask questions of the coaching? We can. Some people feeling like we shouldn't be asking a question in the coaching. You can. There's a way you can do it. No one's saying fire Mike. No one's saying this person. Now we're saying fire Randy because it's obvious. I mean, we're looking into recruiting, but now we're seeing on the field problems. That's two
Mm-hmm.
different issues. That's two different issues. Okay, if you're not performing here, but you're performing here, we can live with it. But now we're not seeing the performance on the field now. Now that's a major issue. You got to get the fuck up out of here. But I do have a question for you, Chris.
Yes.
In the practices that you've seen,
Uh-huh.
did you see tackling, the old school way, not the new stuff, but the way, to create physicality? I'm one of them that's old school, and I believe first and foremost, you can create physical mindset by the way you practice. If you play physical consistently, I know people don't want to get hurt. We lost him, but I'll just
Go ahead,
continue on.
he'll come back.
I'll continue on. If you see physical, you create physicality in practice. You can do that, and you can instill a mindset into the players and an attitude by the way you practice. We all say that the way you practice is the way you play. If they're not physical, we see the little films from us who don't get to be at their practices or see the all 22. We see the little drills and the little cone drills, but we see thudding, but we never see outright knockdown, drag out tackling. Maybe except for hearing it from the scrimmages. So my question to you, Chris, since you're back, is: did you witness any physicality as far as consistency in tackling drills, man on man, not just on a dummy?
So we had a practice that I was very displeased with as far as tackling goes.
Hmm.
It was technically a scrimmage. I was very displeased with the ability of open field tackling in that specific practice. But the
Hmm.
very next day, we basically ran that practice back, almost in the exact same similarities, and it was like night and day in difference. Like we was tackling everybody, and Lucas is an extremely hard young man to tackle because he's quick, he's got a lot of agile, he is what he is, and we wasn't nobody been able to tackle him in that first practice. They were having problems getting Cam Davis on the ground. They weren't tackling well at all that first practice. Here's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of that Florida State's going to be that team this year that the games that they're on.
Hmm.
But then when the light switch shuts off, we're just off. And unfortunately, and it can't go this way, but unfortunately, we were just off this entire game. I don't know what disrupted the mindset
Hmm.
of what we were doing, but I thought we were more mentally strong than we were because let's be honest. For the entire team to perform the way that it did outside of Fitzgerald and some decent plays from some of the other guys, some,
Hmm.
but for
Hmm.
the entirety of the team to respond the way that they did, that is a mental weakness. That is you've done got yourself too far gone from reality, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I talked to a couple of the guys after the game, and we'll just say that the exact wording toward me was this, Chris, I don't know what the fuck just happened. I don't understand how we were that off. Like I don't get it. And I explained the way that I could. That I felt like there was a bunch of guys that are looking for a specific leadership type.
Mhm.
Because when any of them do good, they all do good. When none of them do good, no one does good. And I noticed that a little bit in practices, but I thought, hey, these are early scrimmages or early practices. These guys are getting to learn one another. They're rusty because they haven't tackled an X amount of time. And the only reason I can say that is because, like I said, the very next scrimmage, they were able to do so much better. I mean, you got people like Danny Cannell. You got people like I don't want people to say trust every media person. That's not what I'm saying. But you've got Danny Cannell, the RG3s, and all of them saying, "Man, Florida State. I think they're going to be fine this year. I think they're going to be, a pretty damn good football team." And that was based off after they came and watched the practice. That wasn't based off of, "Oh, I just think that these guys are going to be good." And then the man, I'm not huge on, but the man himself, Nick Saban, watches the practice the day before the game and comes out on college game day and states, I think Florida State has a top five personnel team. They look good. They've done good on reloading through the portal, etc. Well, that's the thing that killed me was I was told how well we did the practice before, the day before in the game. It's like one day we're good, and the next day we're completely off, and that's not how this is going to work out. Luckily, we're in a playoff era. I know that right now people are looking and say Florida State don't have a fucking chance to get in the playoffs because of how piss poor the performance was. I completely understand. But there's been Florida State teams start off against worst opponents and lose terribly bad too. We did it in '02. We did it in '88. We did it in '96. After winning a national title in '93, we did it in '94 where we just started off like complete garbage and then got things turned around. We started off 0-4 one year under Mike, and then turned around and flipped that over. I think that the biggest thing is that these guys did not mesh together this game. They just didn't. The timing was off. I thought DJ, when he did throw the ball, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought when DJ did throw the ball underside one that he underthrew Douglas on. Outside of that, every pass he was asked to make, I felt like he did a pretty decent job on. He did miss two or three wide receivers wide open, but that wasn't due to he made a bad pass. He just didn't catch them in the read. And that's going to happen in your first game. That's going to happen on a new team. But this was deeper than just this, one player, that one guy. This was a deeper problem. And I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that. Me, James, and CJ, the ones that did get to watch a practice, guys, I haven't watched as much football as James probably or CJ, seeing how both of them played the game in college. But I've watched enough football to know a good football team when I see it. And the team that showed up in Ireland yesterday against Georgia Tech, that is not the team that I was talking about. And I know a lot of people ain't gonna believe that, but get this shit. Okay, so this is where I got a fucking problem. And it's with the specific coach. It's always gonna be this guy until he's gone. But it is his call on which linebackers are out on the fucking field. Why do you not leave Nicholson on the field? Why did Riley only have 27 snaps, but this guy and this guy had X amount of snaps that weren't performing? They weren't
Crazy.
performing at the level that they needed to, and
You
you pull the
preaching.
two guys out that are fucking performing, making tackles for loss, coming through the fucking line, hitting the holes right. And I didn't understand that whole method of what we were doing in the linebacker room. And then when you saw, here's the fucking craziest part: when you had those guys in, how come the defensive line was getting pressure on King? He almost threw a fucking interception. He got sacked for a loss. And then we hit 11, who we were having terrible time trying to tackle. We hit him in the backfield for loss when those particular guys were on the field. When the defensive line was getting any type of help from the linebackers, we would get pressure into the backfield. And they did not show us that they could stop us from doing it. We respected we respected their pass game like fucking Joe Montana or Peyton Manning was sitting back there.
Facts.
And it was the most frustrating thing to watch. Defenses win championships. I don't give a shit what anybody else says. Some of the greatest coaches to ever coach this game will tell you defenses win championships. Well, motherfucker, if they win championships, then they win regular fucking season games. And that defense performed like pure dog shit based off of the personnel that was getting pushed onto the field versus the personnel that was performing on the field. I don't understand the entire idea behind what we were doing with the linebackers. The DBs were trying to make up for when the linebackers were messing up. The When you don't have level 1 and 2 doing right, level 3 is eventually going to fuck up. They're the last line of defense. Eventually, they're going to mess up. I thought AZ played all right. I think Conrad Hussey played all right. I think Shaheem Brown was getting asked to do way too much because of lack of linebacker play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't understand. When your linebackers aren't performing, your safeties have to take up all the slack.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not hitting the gaps in stopping the run,
Mm-hmm.
it's this guy, that safety's got to come up and make a play. Well, it's not supposed to go that way every play. You can't ask your safety to come be a linebacker for you on every play.
Mm-hmm.
So when they would get these 13-yard rushes or 12-yard rushes, or King would take off for 8 yards or 6 yards, your linebacker didn't do his job. That's just as plain as it gets. I don't know how to explain it, but this all falls on Coach Norvell. It all has to. When you're
Mm-hmm.
winning, you're the man. When you're losing, you're at fault.
Mm-hmm.
So did I anticipate Florida State losing this football game? No, my prediction was 38-17 Florida State. And that was based off of what I saw, not based off of how good we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate y'all for letting me come on, and I'm gonna stick around. I talked on James's show last night. We got into extreme details about what we saw went wrong. I've already watched this game 3 times
Mm-hmm.
over, and it's an extremely hard thing to watch the first time. If you try to watch it again, it makes it worse. It really,
Mm-hmm.
really does. But have I lost all hope? Have I thought? Do I think Florida State's going 7-5, 6-6? No, I don't. I think that the issue that's at hand is going to be fixed. And I preach that Daniel Lyons needs his ass needs to be on the field. He
Say it
caused
again.
disruption. Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Lyons has got to be on the field. He
Thank you.
caused disruption. He played with a huge amount of effort, and it showed
Mm-hmm.
up. His effort showed out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Nicholson and Riley need to be on the fucking field together, because
Mm-hmm.
those two together created the only havoc from the linebackers that was created.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason everybody said, but Lundy came back. Why didn't Lundy? Lundy is trying to make up for some shit that he can't control either. Like, people
Mm-hmm.
have to understand, when the guy beside you does not do their job, it's causing you to do. They're getting asked at that
You
time
got
to
to
do someone else's
compensate.
job,
Mm-hmm.
and that's unfair to Lundy or anyone else. So we missed Sean Murphy. Like, him not being here, being injured, that
Yeah.
hurt. Um, Hakeem Williams not being here, being injured,
Mm-hmm.
that hurt. So, I mean, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you the honest God's truth. Yesterday morning, when it was announced that Hakeem Williams would not be playing, he was out for the game. I looked at my wife right to my left, and I said, "We might be fucked today." And she was like, "It's just one guy." I was like, "You don't understand what he brings to the offense in the wide receiver position is that his size, his speed, his athletic ability is going to it's going to grasp a lot of attention from the other team, which would help open your slot wide receiver or your wide receiver 2 or whatever. He would have gained enough attention that it would have got guys more open.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, I don't think that Mike changed his game plan because one guy got injured. I think that he might have tweaked it because one guy got injured. Um, our offensive line, all in all, they, like everybody keeps saying, our offensive line played like shit. I disagree. I think our offensive line did decent enough, and y'all are anticipating that we're going to be able to run the football when there's 8 and 9 men in the box. I don't give a shit how good your offensive line is. When you got that many
Mm-hmm.
men in the box, you're not running the ball efficiently.
You
It's
can
just
get a
not going to
couple
happen.
yards. And they
Mm-hmm.
did that all day. They never had a problem getting a couple yards, but you're not
Right.
getting explosive plays. It's like, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, it's like it's
No, I've been
infuriating.
talking for 20 fucking
And
minutes, dude. Go ahead.
and
Like, I,
look, what you guys were saying at the beginning, and Deshaun, Jim, we've all talked about it. Deshaun's question to you about the tackling, we know they don't allow it that much in practice, so it is curious to see, ask, and know how much it happens. But basically, what I said opening up the show is like, we had hubris. We thought it was enough, them being able to show it in practice to go out there in a hostile situation and do it. But basically, it's just going to take wartime activities. It's going to take time in the foxholes. But at
Mm-hmm.
least now, going off a lot of stuff that all of us said, and you kind of confirmed a lot of what we said. I love it when you come on and talking it. It confirmed a lot of what we were talking about. But like now, you at least know to get Omar Graham off the field, to get this person, to put people in place. And yeah, as far
well,
as adjustments, Mike Norvell not adjusting the offense in the second half, that was, pretty disappointing. It took until the final drive to start hitting guys over the middle again.
well, what I will add to what you said is look, I I've talked to all 3 of you individually. I've talked to 2 of you together at one time on the phone. You all 3 know the game. You're not looking at the game and going, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we suck. We just suck. You know what I mean? Like, there is tangibles and non-tangibles to how this shit works. And when you point at the tangibles and you give context to what you're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
it's the explanation of why you lost the game, why you didn't perform at a high level. The thing is that the only thing that I'm trying to add to what, like you said, y'all have already stated, the only thing I'm trying to add to that is the majority of this, and people can and take it for what it will. You can just believe that we suck if that's what you want to do. And you're perfectly open to that because we've proved nothing different yet. But I'm telling you, this was a mental fuckery. That's what this entire situation was. Our mindset was fucked. Our ability to get out of that mindset was we were incapable. We were out there like the handicap, and it's sad. But I think that Coach Norvell will get the shit righting. I think that he will. I'm going to go ahead and say this: the defense and the offense both, when practice starts back, they're going to have Hell Week over again. And you can believe me if you want, or you can say that no one else has said that, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, from the coaches that I spoke to, they said Hell Week is starting over, and that's not just for the players. There are some position coaches that are about to catch hell because of being out. Being out of position is uncalled for. Now, if you set your guys up to succeed and
And
they
they
do not
miss.
execute,
Hmm.
then that's on the player. But when you don't set them up to succeed so that they can execute, that's on the coach.
It's on
Hmm.
So
you, Bubba.
get ready because I think there's going to be a lot of hell to pay for everyone that messed up in this game. For us to show up and perform the way that we did, like we have not practiced all year long, like we have not went over a damn thing. Mike's not going to stay getting embarrassed. I can promise you that shit won't happen. He wants to win. He didn't stay here for no reason. So we'll see what happens, but I will continue watching and listening to y'all. And if anybody's got a question based off of me, just ask, and I'll try to make them shorter. I'm just pissed off. This is what I do when I'm mad.
Jen,
I
did you have
Okay.
anything before Chris goes?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to know, was Omar Graham like doing sign language? I don't understand what any of it was. It
I
was
think
very, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I think
And
somebody gave him some bad green tea.
Did he get
whatever,
some kratom or salvia in his tea or something?
Something.
he's over there like doing bullshit and then just misses players left and right. And then he's over there telling other players like with this sign language. It was really weird. I don't know. It's just so, oh God, this was bad. And again, like maybe I shouldn't be as hard as I am because as bad as they played, they lost by a field goal. It was still bad. This was
Yeah.
bad. They did not deserve this win, honestly. If whatever, I think it was 13, could have actually fallen on a fumble, and I still think that they probably still would have lost because maybe they wouldn't have. I think they probably would have kicked a field goal because the only good player in the game was Fitzgerald. Let's be for real here. That was the only one fired up to be there. No, I mean, the problem with the whole team, it's not even about the play calling for me. I mean, that was terrible. All of it was terrible. It was the fire. There was no player with any fire at all, at all. This was gross. It was disgusting. It just made me feel ill. I sat there and watched. George and Deshaun got mad at me the whole time during the live, and I'm sitting here going, these fools don't look like they want to win this game. They're not going to win this game. When they going to get good? Because I'm not seeing it. They had no fire. It was nothing. Did anybody else see this?
Well, I would speak to this, Jen. I say, yeah, I can agree somewhat on the intensity. That's what you're speaking to, the intensity of
Yeah.
the team as a whole. Now, I will say that because they did not get the ball enough, the wide receivers, once again, Jalen Brown and in particular Benson, were open majority of their routes. They were wide open. It was just missed or for whatever reason. So and then once again, Morlock only had one catch and they didn't attempt to even send him
Oh, we
vertical
haven't
or
even
stretch
gotten
the
into that.
seams.
We
So
haven't even
we did
gotten into
no,
that
we
one.
touched on the middle of the field, but yeah,
No,
we've already touched on that.
I mean, I get it, but like what I'm saying is Morlock was such a mismatch for that defense, and they
Very true.
kept
Yeah.
not using him the way he needed to be used. Every time you saw Morlock up against that, he was. I mean, again, we talked about this on the post game or when we all talked after the game was over. But
Mhm.
Morlock was such a mismatch. They didn't use him the way I'm not understanding anything that happened in this game. It's like something would work and they'd go, hey, let's switch to something else because you thought Georgia Tech was like Georgia Tech is mid, but you thought they were just so mid, but they were way more fired up than you were. They were better coached on that day. They knew exactly what they were doing. And y'all stop. Georgia Tech is not winning. I mean, again, Florida State played so poorly and lost by a field goal. This wasn't a anyway. I'm just saying, this was just gross. It was just gross. It was a gross game to watch. It was gross because it just kept lingering on and the clock management, everything else. And then Georgia Tech actually had really good clock management. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
All fair points. It was tough. So that's why we came here to stand on it. We talked about what we talked about it. But it is what it is now. All we can do is hope we can move forward. We need to see what we all just talked about next week. We need to see, DJU's chains taken off. That's the one thing I will fight back on. There's this whole talk in the chat, about DJU and bring Brock Glenn back and all these things. DJ did like for what he was asked to do in the game. He did pretty damn good out of missing a couple opportunities over the middle. But it's hard. It's hard when you haven't had anything designed there. Like you haven't built any momentum. You haven't made it, a priority to attack the middle of the field. It's hard to pull the trigger on that read when you only get one pass in a set of downs because you passed on first, second down, and now you're throwing on 3rd and 7. Or you ran all 3 and now you're passing on 4th and 7. So the plays he did make when his back was up against the wall were tough. And yeah, on that deep play to Ja'Kai Douglas, I don't even know what that route is called, but an outbreaking route way on the outside.
It looked like either a post or some kind of deep
or like a
crosser or
post,
something like
but
that.
to the back corner of the end zone instead of to the field goal post. But anyways, yeah, it could have been 3 or 4 foot higher, a little bit more ahead of him, and it would have been a touchdown. But he only got one shot at that. That was his only shot, and it was close enough where a catch could have been made. Who knows if he gets a couple more throws down there if he connects it. So, yeah, DJU didn't put a cape on his back and win the game for us, but I thought within what he was asked to do, knowing we only had 57 snaps, like Chris talked about, like we all talked about, the coaches were caught flat-footed. The fact that he went down there and got that touchdown to tie it up, I'm totally fine with DJU and what he's done. You keep giving him a shot, and you go back to the drawing board. You change up the rotations. We won't go back to linebackers and keep picking on one guy, but you fix it. What we talked about that Chris hit us with as soon as he came back, get 13 over there on the strong side or the weak side, whichever one it is, and get Peyton and Marvin Jones Jr. Put an or between their name.
Rotation.
Get us, like me and Deshaun agree. Everybody agreed on Cam Riley and DJ Lundy. You can probably start them with Nicholson being the first guy off the bench. We want to see Juice Cryer get more carries than 0, obviously. At safety, I wouldn't mind going ahead with Hussey as the full-time starter and letting Devontae come off the bench, but we'll see what they do there. I'm fine with Shyheim Brown. Like Chris was saying, the safeties were having to do extra shit, and they were too deep the whole time. From a 2 deep vantage point, it's not like they were given many opportunities to blitz or be a part of the run game or to be one of the guys that scan a gap. They were too deep the whole freaking game. That adjustment was really never made. So that's the defense. On the offensive side, I totally agree with that. We talked about this all together to give a review. Like, tighten the rotation. We've got 8 or 10 guys you believe in. That's great. But find the 5 that are going to gel and that are going to kick ass, and you leave them together until one gets hurt. If you need to be more physical, if we're going to have a hell week, forget about you got 10 of them you like.
Exactly.
Whichever one gets hurt, that's fine. We'll have, survival of the fittest out here. We'll get Darwinism into it. And the 5 that survive, those would be the 5 that go out there and be your starters. So figure that out. Tighten up the offensive rotation. Once you get a lead, once you get a way that you can start rotating more, that's fine. Because you don't have Alex Atkins for 3 weeks. So tighten that shit up. Okay, wide receivers, hopefully you can get Hakeem back. We liked what we saw out of Malik. We liked what we saw in Morlock, Brown. All those guys need more opportunities. Ja'Kai Douglas continues to be a kind of rock there, a guy who's always going to kind of be where he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas. Get Lucas more opportunities on early downs where he's not going to be in there pass blocking, where you're
Mm-hmm.
in 20 personnel and there's another back that can block, or whatever the case may be, you motion him out into the slot. Don't put him out there in a pass where he's going to try to pass block, and then when he gets blown up, you don't see him for half a fucking game. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not his fault that he was put in that position. Get him out there in the position to run because he looks great. Lean on Toafili more. I saw
Mm-hmm.
Toafili make a lot of plays when he touched the ball. Roydell is great in the red zone, and he made some
Yep.
plays. Figure out what he did best and attack that. But
Mm-hmm.
we have got to be more aggressive and not think we can rest on our laurels and all these things. I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
lose going out on my sword. And we may say that and then go out and lose to, Boston College because the coaches do that and we lose by 30 or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we'll know when you go from there. But that was my second rant. We can all three get a rant or do whatever, but go ahead and show them and then we'll go
I'm
to
not
James.
gonna hit a rant, but I also would mention some things with rotations. Maybe see if it works better that both Jackson and Farmer are not playing together. You may not get an explosive. Maybe mix Lions with Jackson
Yeah.
or Lions with Farmer to get a different look. That way you're having someone that's a run gap stopper and then someone who's the pass rush, specialist at that D tackle position. We already mentioned Peyton and Marvin and MJJ. I would like to also see, other than Hussey, get Edwin Joseph on the field a little bit. That's
Man, Edwin
5 foot
Joseph
11. Yes, 5'11", 210 pounds. I keep saying it, and my comp for
continues to
him
show it.
is like Jamie Robinson. That's someone that can probably play the nickel, even though you're playing him outside. He's shown he could play nickel. Put him in the nickel, allow him to play in that box because they didn't do enough of bringing. If you're not going to be able to bring pressure from the two safeties up high, then use your nickel guy. And no, we didn't run a single fucking corner blitz also against King on that read option. Nothing. It didn't. That would have slowed that down. If you blitz him from that angle, you're taking that outside. Now you don't have to worry about your corner coming up to try to keep contained. If that's another thing that was on coaching. But also, other than that, it's like you said, it's the rotations, it's the attitude and the mindset. These things are fixable, but it's an urgency to get it done now.
Beautiful. Guys, this is the first time we've been able to be on Twitter because I've had absolute hell with them when they added the new plans. I went with the $4 one, not knowing it wouldn't allow me to post. And ever since then, I've been trying to upgrade, but it wouldn't go through. It finally went through. I say all that to say we're at 721 people watching live right now. If you're on YouTube, please like and sub. And even if you're on Twitter, even if you don't watch the whole thing there, if at some point you can get over YouTube at the Renegade Report, it's super simple. Hit that like and sub. We would really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody. $5 super chat from Hurley Rush says, "What is Sean Murphy's injury?" So let me get into injuries for a little bit. This will be a bit of a subject till Glenn pops back up. Look, Sean Murphy, you got to put two and two together. You heard all these great things about Sean Murphy. Same thing with Hakeem Williams. If you watch this show the past 3 weeks before the show or before the game and you didn't know there was something going on with Hakeem Williams, he may not start after the depth chart came out. Sorry, we did the best we could to tell you between the lines what was going on, and then finally it came out, a hamstring injury. Sean Murphy, same thing, but it hasn't been released. Mike Norvell does not report any injuries unless it is season ending. I'm surprised we even have the information on the hamstring. The reason I'm talking about it is because they reported it. ESPN got it somehow that he was out due to a hamstring. Okay. So yeah, we don't find out guys are out till the game of, and with Sean Murphy being down on the depth chart, I don't know why the information hasn't quite got out there, but yeah, I mean, it's just, you put two and two together, especially with how linebacker plays, you think he would be out there. If he's in the doghouse or something, yada, yada. But even if I did know the exact injury, I can't tell you. But hopefully we get him back. And it's not something season ending because we would have known about that. And again, thanks for the super chat. Thank you. We've got 17 super chats on the show. Again, now we're at 731. The number keeps coming up. Again, if you're on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. I'm hoping maybe we can get to 3,000 tonight. That would be a huge landmark achievement for this channel. Now, The phone line isn't up, but again, super chats always get read no matter what and get up on the screen and questions get answered. But I also answer any good questions I see that roll by in the regular chat, which has been crazy tonight. So right now is the time of the show. If you have a question, put it in the chat. If you want to do super chat, that's one way to get it 100% up there. But either way, we also offer members. We did the live stream this game with all three of us. We may just like take turns from now on. One of us does the live stream. That way we can all three of us are the kind of the people that like to separate ourselves and watch the game. And it was just maybe that's what we'll do. We'll take turns doing it. But yeah, we do members only shows. We have all kind of people. We've had Jeff Colhane on, Brian McFadden, Carlos Williams, all kind of great people on this program. Of course, we always have Chris and James on. So we appreciate y'all. And again, drop your questions, comments, all of it. We really appreciate it. Jen, anything on your mind that you've been waiting to speak up on?
No, I am dying at this chat because Tennessee fans are very bothered. I am not really sure what's going on here. Y'all are about as irrelevant as Miami. Miami's won a national championship more recently than you. I'm not really sure what's going on here. You're still probably going to lose to Florida like you always do. But welcome to the show and we appreciate it. Thanks for the views. But if I find out that it was on a Tennessee message board that my number got leaked, I'm telling you right now, you will never, ever fucking forget it. You will never forget it. And I have a feeling that's exactly where it was.
Yeah, doxing is no joke. I can't remember what it was. I was talking about something on the timeline about somebody that I was pissed off at for something they did against FSU. And some FSU fan was like, yeah, yada, yada. And this is their address and this is where they live. I was like, dude, that's doxing. Like we talk about these things, but stuff like that, take it too far. You get nasty, you make threats, you start doxing people. That's where we draw the line. And if we can come for you, we will. It'll get reported to the highest form of law, whatever. We don't play that bullshit. We stand in the paint. We talk with you guys. We'll bring you up as callers, bring you on the show. We'll throw your comment up there. But that's too far. Somebody, whoever the son of a bitch is that leaked Jen's number, you're a piece of shit. I hope you get caught and get punished to the fullest extent of the law. Because yeah, that shit isn't funny. That guy eventually, I think he just didn't realize what doxing is. I'll give that guy the benefit of the doubt, but he went back and forth for me for 5 minutes. So if you don't know what doxing is, that's leaking somebody's phone number, their personal information, their address, etc. that doesn't have it listed and things of that nature. And Jen has no reason, none of that stuff. It's all private. There's no reason anybody should have any of it. So fuck you, whoever did that. We hope you get caught. But again, if you have any questions, again, put them up there. I see one. I don't think I put many people from X up here. Kelsey Dudley says, what do y'all really think of how Brown did at safety? Kelsey, you're going to have to tell me if you're talking about Shyheim or Devontae. Because Shyheim, I thought, like Chris said, like Deshaun, I think said, we all said, I think he just had a lot of shit he was trying to make up for on top of playing his normal position. And Adam Fuller was putting him in a position, lining him up too deep where he's too far away from the play to help on 99% of what Georgia Tech was running all night. And then you get one chance and he's right there on him. He made a big time hit on that receiver. The guy held onto the ball. Kelsey says, Devontae, yeah, not good. That's what I was saying earlier. I think Hussey should get the start next to Shyheim. And we see what KJ and the younger guys do. But again, I didn't like Chris watch it back 3 times. I only watched it back once. And again, that was a TV copy. So I'm not going to get too crazy into throwing him under the bus quite yet. But he damn sure didn't pop. And I saw him get shaken out of his boots 2 or 3 times. At the very least, he needs to go back to tackling school because that was tough. But yeah, Shyheim good. Hussey, I saw some moments. I saw some learning pains, some growing pains. But Devontae Brown, yeah, I was not impressed. Some people say he was good at safety. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. Again, who knows? Maybe he the same thing that we're saying about the other safeties. Like he very well could have been covering up other things and was hampered. He was put back there. He was put too far back. We talked about it ad nauseum. We should have had a safety in the box or taken a safety off the field or whatever the case may be, because we respected their passing game entirely too much. We've talked about it. We might have the best DB unit in the nation, and I don't think that's ruined yet. I don't think that takes ruin. So, they didn't get an opportunity to play. Just like DJ, you didn't get a chance. to connect with his receivers downfield, the DBs didn't get a chance to show off. We didn't get Georgia Tech in 3rd and long. They were converting third downs. They did exactly what I lined out on this show that they had to do if they were going to win. They did it in 53 snaps. They beat us, and we had 57 and couldn't get it done. It's just that simple. As I try to scroll down, see if there's any more questions. Let's see here. We'll let you, I guess, Deshaun, if you want to. What's the overall record? Do you want to adjust your picks? Whenever Georgia Tech beats FSU, it's noteworthy. Whenever FSU beats Georgia Tech, it's just another Saturday.
Of
He's asking
course.
somebody else a question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course that's true. I mean, nobody cares what Georgia Tech does outside of whenever they beat a team, that's ranked or whatever. Miami was Miami ranked when they beat them? I don't know. Who cares? Miami hasn't done anything in a long time. But yeah, Georgia Tech is not important. That's why it's embarrassing. That's why it's disturbing. That's why it's absolutely disgusting that they were beaten and bullied on both lines of scrimmage. And by the way, Georgia Tech's probably going to go lose to another sorry ass mid team in the ACC because that's what the ACC teams do. It's just gross. All of it's gross. This is not like you just lost to a good team. You lost to a team that's probably pretty mid, which is most ACC teams. You lost to a team that was, a nobody. Who cares? Nobody cares. All they care about is that you lost to them. They don't care what their name is. They don't care what the team is. They care what the big dogs lost to. And the big dogs lost to a loser. That's it. End of a story. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, we'll have to see. There's a lot of hype around Brent Key in that program. I didn't think they had the talent to be able to do what they did to us deep enough. But yeah, like I said, they hit the snap counts perfectly. If they could make a run, win 9 or 10 games, that would really be great for Florida State. But the first thing we have to do is get our feet on the ground, fix everything that we've talked about, and come out here and beat Boston College. Kelsey Dudley's coming through the clutch to help move this conversation along as we hit still at 733 people live. Again, we really appreciate you guys joining us. How do you think we scheme this week for another mobile quarterback? Go ahead and take that one first, Deshaun.
Well, obviously you can always spy. You can spy that quarterback, but this one again comes to the trenches. If you're 2 defensive tackles, the quickest way to the quarterback is in the A gaps. That's between the center. Left and right side of the center is the A gaps. If you attack those gaps with your defensive tackles, that's why I'm wondering if they should put maybe Lyons in there and combo with either Jackson or Farmer and rotate. Pressure right up the middle in his face. He's not a tall quarterback that's mobile. He's 5'10". You use 6'6", 6'4", and 6'5", something like that to get in his face. And you also have a spy at one of your linebackers. You maybe use Blake, who's quicker. Blake, Cryer, someone like that. Even if you have to try to put Lundy, but you got to try to play contain with your ends. You got to play disciplined football. Get up the field. Don't just crash in. Get up the field and smash him right up in the middle in the A gaps with your tackles and spy. Those are some things you can do. Bring another man in the box. Send blitzes from the angles, from the corners. Blitz the A gap if you have to. If you're not getting any penetration from your tackles, you're going to have to blitz right up the middle too. Get in his face.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I think part of it is going to be a lot less too high and sitting back on your heels. Like Deshaun said, I'm not sure if it's Nicholson or who it is. That's maybe you can. And again, I want these snap counts to be very different. I'm not saying you do this, but maybe you just give Graham the job to just look. You spy the quarterback. We'll handle everything else. So he doesn't have to worry about trying to figure out what to do. But seriously, no, I agree. I don't know if the young man, I don't know if Blake's the guy to spy or DJ's the guy to spy and you let Blake run the mic or whatever the case may be. But yeah, definitely adjustments there. You've got to have somebody spying him. I think what we talked about is important with having Lolo Hea on one side more to set that edge. And you put an or between Marvin Jones and Pat Payton. Pat's he's got to he's got to hold that edge and be sound in tackling this year because
Mm-hmm.
the linebackers are not behind him to clean things up. He had like 11 missed tackles last year, or
Mm-hmm.
9 missed tackles along with those 11 passes batted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a weird stat for a defensive end. And there was a lot of assisted tackles, and it'd be a missed tackle and picked up right by the next guy, so you don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're going to need inspired play from your defensive ends. I agree with what you said about defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, give your safeties and your cornerbacks chances to make plays on the
Mm-hmm.
ball. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to do that. And like going back to the stream and how crazy it is. Thanks again, everybody. Make sure you like and sub. Make sure you follow Jen Santy. We're kind of mixed up on our spots, but it's at Jen Santy 1890. You can follow her on X. You can find her by her name on Instagram and Facebook as well. Make sure you follow Deshawn at Deshawn Adams 18 on X as well. He's also got his YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you go ahead and plug those real quick, all three of
Okay.
them real quick for the people.
All right. Double D's Let's Talk Ball podcast. That's where we talk NFL. We also have Double D's Let's Talk College. That's for the college talk. I just dropped a video yesterday, just talking about week 0 and week 1. And then also D's Corner, DSCORNER, D's Corner. That's my partner. He has a separate NFL where he'll go a little more in depth with NFL information. And we have a gaming podcast too, so you can also see on our channel. You can also catch gaming, us playing NCAA. We'll get into Madden soon, things like that.
Boom. So go check him out. It's good stuff. They're just getting started, but it's really cool stuff over there. If you're into NCAA or what's going on in the NFL, especially with our Noles over there and things of that nature, go check them out and keep the comments and questions coming. We're up here almost on 2 hours. I knew this was going to happen when we got back to the season. The off season was rough because man, there's a ton of stuff going on, but when you do 3-4 shows a week, you want to up the content and make sure you have things planned, guests to have fun. But we knew when the season got here, it's a little different. It's like the next thing you know, shit, we've been talking for 3 hours, but I don't want to be here just to be here again. So if you have any questions, we'll answer them. Keep the chat coming. We'll give it. I'll guarantee you another 5 minutes before we end it. Jen, I understand it sucks. It's embarrassing. I'm not forcing you to talk, but if there is any thoughts about looking forward or anything that you have on your mind before we get out of here.
Oh no, I mean, it just no, I mean it sucks, but guess what it just did for me? It just freed up my Saturdays. I'm not really worried about it anymore. You lose a game, you're not making the playoffs because you can go undefeated and not make the playoffs. So who gives a shit anymore? That's kind of over. I don't want to hear about playoffs anymore. I feel like we need the video playoffs. Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? There's no playoffs with what we just saw. Like, no. So yeah, our Saturdays might be open. We're gonna get to watch for fun now. It's not really gonna mean anything. I mean, it means something. You win some games. You may make the ACC championship. But again, we have some serious work to do on this team, and it's on I mean, if I can say it honestly, it's the offensive line as the defensive line for me. It's gross, it's disgusting, and you can't win games like that.
Boom, you heard
That's
it
what I would
from
say.
Jen Knoll. Deshawn, any closing thoughts or questions for me or anything before we get out of here?
No, I just do a closing shot, closing thought. I don't want to necessarily jump off. We're not going to jump off the ship here. Like I said, it's not no fireable offense. Certain situations do need to change. I just think this week is telling it, and it's telling in that we're pretty much at a team meeting moment after the first game. But because it's what we saw was attitude and execution. It was about attitude and heart. But I would say that it as a fan base, we need to not fall completely off. Be honest, get this out of our system. By the time we hit tomorrow or Tuesday, let's move on to the next game. We can't
Oh yeah.
rewind the clock, and let's move on. And let's look for the next game. Let's just look for those things that we saw in the first game that made us disgusted and then we'll go from there. But let's continue to support and cheer, move on as a fan base, as a university, alumni, everything, and continue to support the players. Call them out, be honest, but love on them afterwards. You're like, no, we don't hate you, but you got to play better, and that's the bottom line. The team has to play better. Stop reading the press clippings, put down the keys to the Lamborghinis, all that bullshit, and get out there and play football. Because bottom line, what you do this season will dictate if the NFL even looks at your ass, period.
Yep, all that love preseason from all the different outlets, all the awards, the Senior Bowl talk, all that stuff. It's got to get done on the field. It's not all over with, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit more. Tuesday will probably be about what we're hoping, what we're hearing from practice, and what we're hoping the depth chart possibly looks like, and different things, adjustments we can possibly make for Boston College. Maybe look into what Boston College has going on their roster in a little bit better detail. And by Friday, we'll give you guys the full preview and breakdown and predictions and all that stuff. And again, we're standing in the paint. We ain't going nowhere. We're right here. We're going to answer the questions. You can catch me Wednesday, as always, live on the Voice of College Football at Florida State, Voice of College Football, that is. I did an instant review or instant reaction to the game over there on the FSU Voice of College Football and the regular Voice of College Football channel if you want to go check that out. Make sure you check all Deshawn stuff. Again, that's at Deshawn Adams 18, FS or Pro Football Talk, Double D's Let's Talk About It. Make sure you follow Jen at Jen Santy 1890. And we're out of here. We're gonna get out of here. We love you guys. And yeah, we'll see y'all all on Tuesday. Go Noles, baby.
Go Noles.